Well, we're down here in Lancefield, about an hour and a bit north of Melbourne, for the launch of these 2019 Gas Gas EC enduro range, the 250 and 300. And staying in a pretty damn nice winery just up the road too. So we sort of been wined and dined a little bit and having a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I'm sort of got a buggered finger at the moment. Can't ride. It was my intention to come down here to start with, but made a lot of sense to bring Jared Duffy down as our digital content manager. Because he's been riding a lot of two-strokes lately. He's had a couple of project bikes over the last few years and he's really familiar with these things. So thought we might put Jared on the spot and he's been out for a trail ride and some pretty cool loops in the bush, and a really nice trail ride today. So I thought I might put him on the spot and sort of get him to give us a bit of an insight into these new machines. So Jared, I think just listening to the sort of talk around the campsite here, a lot of guys, focusing on the suspension, the carb, the fact that it's a single backbone frame, you've got that steel flex frame, but the suspension, just take us through the Kayaba in your mind, where it's good.
Yeah, so like you said, suspension's been a big talk around this launch. And it's been a really impressive fork that stood out a lot to me. It's quite plush, but then it's very progressive. You can push it a long way in the bush. Like, we're out in the hills out here and it's very rocky, to the point where you're coming across the trail and you'll hit something and you expect the bike just to dart off into the bush or kick back on you, and it just tracks straight. So it's been really impressive like that. And we're climbing a few rock shelves and dropping down a few things and couldn't even get close to bottoming the thing. But at the same time, it was quite plush and it wasn't too stiff at all.
I think I heard you saying a little bit earlier, it's like sort of mating, I guess, Japanese suspension with a kind of Euro frame, in the sense that you've got the steel frame or the chromoly frame as an added damping member. But it's kind of cool to see. I think we had 65 kilo guys right up to 110 kilo guys, and I didn't see a lot of people mucking around with clickers today. Is it that versatility, the fact it's forgiving but got a really wide setup window that makes it so good?
Yeah, so I'm kind of right in the middle of that weight range, around the 80 kilo mark, and barely touched the clickers, went a couple of clicks softer in the front, and it was great the whole time.
Mate, looking at the bikes too, I made a bit of a note here which I'm holding on to now, but aside the Kayaba suspension, you've got a 10 litre tank, which is clear, FMF muffler and the pipe, actually expansion chambers, it looks a lot like it. It comes with hand guards and bash plate as standard equipment, some new Michelin Enduro tyres, Nissan brakes, the Magura hydraulic clutch, extended frame guards. You've got big foot pegs, alloy side stand, rubber mounted headlight, V-force reed block. It's got some bits on it, and it's is there anywhere where you sort of see they've cut corners?
Yeah, like you said, this bike's got all the go fast gear on it. It's an epic looking machine, as you can see, and it's really good. As far as possibly cutting corners, just the finishes and stuff might not be as nice as your more top of the line bikes that you pay an extra couple of grand for. And for that couple of grand saving, you don't mind it. Just a few things like the wiring's a little bit not as neat as some, but at the same time it's more basic.
Hard-nosed, minimalistic, race-oriented.
That's it.
And look, it would be crazy for us not to be talking about the engine as well. So, you've had experience on a 250 and 300 carb, Husky and KTM.
Yeah.
You've now been, I think over the last year, been riding the fuel-injected two-strokes. I think I took some notes yesterday. You came in and you sort of said that, it felt more like a motocross style, a bit more aggressive style power compared to those things. Just take us through what stood out about the power and the differences between the 250 and the 300.
Yeah, it's kind of like going back 2 or 3 years on another European machine like a KTM or a Husqvarna. It's a lot more aggressive, but at the same time it's still linear, and it's not going to rip your arms off, but it's got enough go to get you out of any situation. It's really good, and even with having the map selector switch on this new one coming standard, which is a great feature that you've got to put on aftermarket on other models. It's got a rain map which just dulls it down, and that we used
just started raining
as it starts raining. That we used a fair bit, that just smoothed the power out and just took the aggression out of it. And I like that a lot. Riding a few bikes in the last couple of years that have run a counterbalancer, and this thing does vibrate more and it's a little bit more tolling on the body, but it also brings back that fun factor that on an old two-stroke,
Or that more lively, traditional two-stroke.
Exactly, yeah. It's a lot more, if you ride a lot more motocross and you come in the bush and ride an enduro bike, I think, oh, this thing's a bit dull. yeah, it's like that happy medium in between. It's really good.
You've also said you're a self-professed 250 guy, right? But you came in yesterday saying the 350s you won. Why is that? What is it about the 350? Sorry, the 300 compared to the 250? Broader, torquier, easier to ride?
Yeah, I kind of ate my own words in saying that. Like on other models, I've kind of rode off 300s as the time's gone by, and I've always liked the 250 because you feel like you're riding the bike a lot more than the bike riding you. But this thing is kind of the opposite. It's got plenty of go, but then it's very manageable. Yeah, it's just got so much torque down bottom, but then it like revs right through the rev range and doesn't sign off. So I think it comes down to the keen carbs, an awesome thing, and as I've seen on other bikes in the past, it's been a really good carb and really easy to jet. And this thing straight out of the box has got great jetting, a little bit fat off the bottom, but that's kind of how you want it being a 300. You don't want it to be like super aggressive and rip your arms off. You want it quite torquey.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people got a lot of experience with keen carbs. So, and I guess, look, that's from a performance and componentry perspective, but you know, when you buy a bike, it's about the lived experience with the thing. You know, it includes maintenance and stuff. And I know you and I sitting down yesterday making a few notes about the thing. Kind of cool, really easy. The airbox access, air filter access, really easy. Easy to get the seat off. I think we said 3 bolts to remove the tank. You can get the spark plug and take that out, you know, without having to remove the tank. And then it's got holes in the bash plate for both either your crank, you know, drain bolt or your oil. Graphics are inlaid, simple wiring harness. It's kind of got some good things from a, you know, from a maintenance or an ownership point of view, right?
It sure does, and that's what's been really good about European bikes, is just the easy factor, and it's a 2-stroke. You want it to be easy to be maintained. Like that's half the reason you buy a 2-stroke, because they're simple. You can do rebuilds yourself. You don't have to rip the whole bike apart to get to little bits and pieces. It's all there. Like as you're saying, you don't even need to take the tank off to get to the spark plug. It's awesome.
So, mate, I always do the mate test. When a mate rings me up after a launch and says, give us a sentence or two, like, how was it? What was it like? What will you say when your mates ring you up tonight? Because I know that they know you've been down here.
Yeah, the boys are definitely calling me up, asking what these bikes can be like, and I'm just going to tell them it's an awesome bike. It's awesome for guys that want a little bit more lively bike. And especially a few of my mates come from motocross background, and they're kind of on the fence whether to stay with a motocross bike or get an enduro bike, so this kind of thing would suit them very well.